You are listening to Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast, episode 134. And this one will probably get into the audio thing, if I remember. But this time around, we're back to recording old school style because really I might be moving around a little bit, but that's fine. We're going to make this happen. On this episode, though, we're going to talk Forbidden Door from AEW, the New Japan AEW Mix X, and then it'll be outside of that, story time with Carlos. I've got some stories to share. That and more on this episode of the Unnecessary Nonsense Podcast. All right, I'm Carlos, and that's David.
I do enjoy that theme. I know I've said it before, but every time I hear it, I'm like, Carlos made a good choice.
Damn right I did. And there'll be more good choices, and some questionable ones, further in this episode. So, before I get into story time with Carlos, because I am going to dominate the airwaves on this one. However, before I do, anything you care to share or add, or anything going on that you want to talk about real quick?
I actually have done something that I have never, well, technically done once, but like this is, now there's profit involved. I took money out of my FanDuel account today.
Whoa!
So I had taken out the initial money that I had put in. I had taken that out basically as soon as I'd, made the first bet and made enough to take it back.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I've taken an additional amount of money out, while still obviously leaving some to play around and gamble with. So,
Look at you being
having,
offensive.
done better than break even, I'm okay with this.
Look at you. Did I tell you that I had a parlay that almost worked out? It was actually a random parlay they had, and I looked at it. I was like, that seems all right. But it literally I missed by one thing, but it was the dumbest thing of the four.
What were the four?
So it's the four components in the parlay, and it was
All right.
for the NBA Finals. So
Okay.
first one was the Warriors winning. They did.
Okay, check.
Second
Like the whole
one,
thing?
The
Or
game,
the game.
that specific
Okay.
game, yeah. So first one, great, check. Second one, Steph Curry getting at least I think it was 20 or 25 points, and
Okay.
I think he had 30 in that game. So that was I think
Okay.
this was the closeout game. This was the closeout game.
All right, check.
So second one, great. Third one was I want to say Andrew Wiggins. I think is one of the players on the Warriors.
Mhm.
Okay, so Andrew Wiggins getting 4 assists or more. That happened. Check. Last one. Last one was Klay Thompson getting at least 15 points. Now here's the problem.
You got 14?
No, he got 12 at the half. He had 12 at the half and literally bricked like 10 shots in the second half. He wasn't close. I had a better shot shooting from here. Like I was like, you're actually a good shooter. What? You had 12 points in the first half and you couldn't score 3 points in half a game of basketball?
Brutal.
It was. I was sitting there, like I was looking at it. I was quickly checking. It's like, okay, look, the Warriors are winning by quite a bit. They're playing really well, so there's a good chance they're going to win. Really, that's the only question here. Curry's got the points. The Wiggins has got the assist. Klay Thompson has 12 points at the half. I'm golden. No, I'm not golden.
How much money did you stand to win if it had hit?
I put in a little bit because a 4 parlay is always very difficult. I think it was like 12 to 1 odds or something. It would have been like 130, 150 bucks or something.
Yeah, still, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, it was for like a $10 wager. I was like, this would have been, it was beautiful. I was like, it was like, but it's like of all the pieces, the piece that fell apart was you couldn't get 3 points in half a game of basketball, and you were playing. You're a starter.
Yeah, and it's not like, he had like a really bad first half and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, like
Right?
it looked like it was gonna be. It looked like I was gonna cruise to that one. Out of the four elements, it looked like that one was the one I was gonna cruise to. It looked like he was gonna score 20, 25 points, and then no problem, we're done, and like easy. But nah. And here's the thing: 3 free throws would have done it. All he would have had to do was go aggressively to the basket and get 4 free throws, and he gets 3 out of 4, and I win.
Yeah.
That's a very
Kudos to FanDuel though. They make some good bets on there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting though to see how long they're going to keep allowing those. Because even after the initial, they gave me another bet for the Stanley Cup final. That was another 1-shot bet.
Yeah.
This is after the initial one, so I was like, those are free money. So
Yeah,
like,
I've had 3 of those bets since
Yeah.
I've joined up. And
So-
there have been others that are similar. Like I know that my brother's, when he first joined up, there was one that was like, the Jays get 1 hit or more.
yeah,
Right? Now again, that's less, likely than the 1 shot, but still pretty likely that they're gonna, it's a no-hitter is rare, so it's pretty likely it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But he was telling me that his girlfriend, she only ever makes, from whenever they joined, I guess she basically only makes the free money bets.
Mm-hmm.
and has pulled out over $300 from it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: you can, because they put a limit, they put a cap on how much you can do. But it is. I'll be curious to see how long they keep those going, because like they're good to keep people in the game, so to speak, to keep them around.
For
But
sure.
it is kind of an interesting move. Anyway, we'll see. So that's fair enough. Okay, a couple of quick
But
stories.
it's like, wait, but it's like,
Go.
you want me to take your money? Yes, I will.
Yeah. So I'll skip the work stuff because that
Okay.
isn't as interesting.
But
All
you have
right,
a shoe story.
I do. So I went to Nike.com this past week. I think it was the end of last week, maybe this week. End of last week, I think. Anyway, bottom line. So I go to
You bought the Ric
Nike.com.
Flair shoes?
No.
Woo!
Focus. No, focus, Dave. So I go to Nike.com.
Mhm.
Now I double check. I'm going to Nike.com. I go in and I see I was going to get a pair, and I saw some more on sale and whatever, and I was like, okay, cool. And one of the models is the Jordan 11. That's a famous model. That was kind of the patent leather one. I thought they were all right, but what they've done is they've reimagined them a little bit and adjusted some of the materials to a more modern spec, and they call them the Jordan Comfort series. So basically, they just made them a little bit, maybe the sole a little bit softer, so that they're better walking shoes. Because the Jordan 11s are supposed to be basketball shoes, but they're not comfortable by today's standards. But I don't play basketball, but as a comfort shoe, it's fine. So I saw one that I liked. I said, okay, great, I'll buy that. So I bought it. Great. I get my notification, confirmation. I'm getting my shoes sent to me. Great. Now, I go and I check the tracking just to see, and they say, oh, it'll be like next Wednesday. So this upcoming week, supposedly by Wednesday, I'll get it. So they're sending me by FedEx. So I check the tracking. Would you care to guess where they are shipping me these shoes from?
Mississauga?
No.
Kuala Lumpur?
No.
I don't know. It's either, like, I feel it's either super close or ridiculously far away.
It is far away, but it's still not a place, because I tested my chat. I did my live chat on my live stream. I was curious if any of them could guess, and they came up with different places and whatever. No, nobody got close to it. The Netherlands. The shoes were sent to me from the Dutch.
Should be some good shoes.
Now, there's two reasons why this is funny. First of all, the fucking Dutch? Really? so that's the first thing. And also, frankly, they owe me after no hitting Team Panama. Because Team Panama was no hit by the Dutch. Bert Blyleven had better personally have sent me the fucking shoes, Dave.
He might have. They might be.
He owes me.
Dude, could you imagine they come and you open the box and they're autographed by Bert Blyleven?
As they should be. But, second reason I thought it was funny. The Netherlands is known for a variety of different things. But specifically, one of the things they're well known for is metal bands. For whatever reason, they got a lot of metal bands. So we got the Dutch metal bands. And the thing is, earlier in the week, I got a package from Amazon for a couple of things I was ordering. But one of the things I was ordering as well that I came with it was a CD for Epica, which is a Dutch metal band. So I made the joke while I was laughing, while I was saying, I was like, so y'all are gonna throw some metal CDs with the shoebox? You may as well, like, since you're there.
You get Bert Blyleven autographs and metal CDs.
Can
you
guys
just throw in a pair of clogs as well and some weed? Because why not?
look? Y'all owe me anyway. So can I get some Epica? Can I get some Nightwish? Throw some in there. Bring me my Bert Blyleven autograph. Like, hey Carlos, sorry about that.
It's like, here's a brownie I made. Bert?
Yeah, I'll leave that for somebody else. but anyway, I just thought it was so random. I was like, the Netherlands, really?
That is
Okay.
random. Like, that is not where you would expect those shoes to come from.
That was my point. I said, like, okay, if I gave you time and I gave you a time to guess, it's like, how long would it take before you come up with the Netherlands?
A long time.
That's what it is. So apparently Nike has a European distribution in the Netherlands.
I guess.
I
Yeah.
didn't
I
know.
would figure it would come from North America or it would come from Asia.
There's a ton of ports that I would have thought of first. There's a bunch of them that would have come to mind well before I ever got there. But anyway, so now you know I'm getting a pair of shoes from the Dutch.
Nice.
So that is story number one. Now, number two. When I was doing the live stream today, so what happened is I did a live stream last night. Usual live stream that I do.
The chill
on
live
channel.
stream.
Yes, the chill live stream. Did the usual thing. Late in it, early morning, late evening, I got a message from a buddy who's doing an episode of a live stream today that is part of a bigger event called Hobbypalooza. They're doing this whole thing, whatever. They do a bunch of different live streams one after another on the same channel with different people hosting. So he had an hour that he was hosting as part of it, but he hadn't set up anything. So he goes, "Hey, can you come on and like give me a hand, and we'll come up with something." And I go, "Yeah, fine, that's sure." So that was this afternoon. So I said I come on, And we ended up talking about a bunch of different things. I talked about vintage baseball cards, usual kind of thing that I like to talk about, and that because it's nice to get away from the hockey a little bit. But one of the fun things towards the end is I had a little bit of fun poking fun at the traditional the Mike Trout thing, and it was funny because when I finished, one of the guys who's sitting there, they know about my Mike Trout thing. He goes, I'm really surprised that I kind of just agreed with everything you said because he's one of the guys who said Mike Trout is like a Hall of Famer right now, no doubt, but nothing else. He goes, yeah, I kind of agree with your points. They made a lot of sense. And I go, I know, that's what's scary, isn't it? And I did have a moment that was very funny for me where I said, well, would you like to ask? It's like, you want to ask the question? It's like, oh, which one? It's like, because a lot of people ask me how much of the Mike Trout hate is shtick versus how much of it is me being serious. It's like, and I said to him, and I told him, and I said, all right, I'm only going to do this one time because it's not my channel. So this is not canon. This doesn't count. So anything I say doesn't count. So basically, I laughed because I basically laid out the more reasonable response to a lot of it, and then afterwards they're like, "That's really reasonable." It's like I don't know what to think now. It's like, hey, it's not canon. Sorry, it doesn't count. That is story number 2.
But it's now out there.
I don't acknowledge it, man.
People
I
can
think
find it though, Carlos.
Listen, you're all unauthorized fan art kind of things. Don't count, man. Sorry, doesn't count. Not real. It's like, but Carlos was like, fake news, buddy.
Although, hey, story. Okay. Just speaking of the art.
You have to follow it with, What are you, the Penguin? Go ahead.
Anyway, Tony Storm liked my drawing of her.
I'm sure she did. She said, "Oh, an 8-year-old child drew this. This is adorable."
Oh, shut up.
Anyway, all right. Story thrice. All right. So I've decided to add a new character to my hate-a-thon. And it came
so
by.
This is like up there with Mike Trout and Tom
Oh
Brady.
yeah. It was great. But the thing is, I didn't initiate it. It was very
So
random.
before you add this, who all is on the list so far? Let's just clarify that.
Right now, it's Tom Brady, Mike Trout, and pretty much my new person here. Because everybody else is like, they'll come and go, whatever. But I think this one will be fun. If somebody else brings it up, I'm sure someone will. But it was very funny for me. So we were talking towards the end of the live stream. We were having a chat about, Hockey Night in Canada, kind of talking about how it switched over. I don't remember exactly what precipitated it, but I know that the Hockey Night in Canada was the precursor to what came up. And somebody in the chat put in, basically, they said, oh man, Hockey Night in Canada wasn't as good after Don Cherry left. And I saw the comment. As soon as I saw the comment, it's like the smirk comes across my face, and I'm like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like, yeah, it was better because Don Cherry sucks. It's like, all right, game on. Now I'm ready. Let's do this. So then I go hard on Don Cherry. I kill this man. It's like, oh man, I plan to have a celebratory live stream when he dies. Because it's like, no. It's like, I've never thought much of Don Cherry. I think he sucked as a coach. I think he sucked as a player. I think he sucks as a broadcaster. And as an entertainer, he's trash. I did, in fact, mute Don Cherry's Coach's Corner because I thought he was a senile old bastard. And like, no, I'm glad they got rid of him because, frankly, he's a senile old bastard. I have no use for Don Cherry. But it was funny watching one of the guys that I had on there who was a big fan of, like, Cherry and a lot of hockey stuff. He's like, oh. And I was going, you get it. You. What's that?
I said you crushed him.
I did. And as usual, the soul crushing is what fuels my work. It really is. It really is.
Now, question. You listed 3 people. Is Ruben Rivera not on that list?
Isn't he already dead?
I'm pretty sure he's still alive, Carlos.
But he's a Rivera. Isn't that like already death?
You know what? You know what's crazy? Actually, I just looked this up because I want to make sure I had the name right.
Yeah.
You know he's only 48 years old?
Really?
Yeah. Born in 1973.
Fair enough.
And you know what the funny thing is about his Wikipedia page? This is the line on the World Baseball Classic. This is all it says. Rivera played in both the 2006 and 2009 World Baseball Classic for Panama's national team. He's combined 3 for 16 with 1 home run and 5 strikeouts in both tournaments. That's all they say. I was like, but they're missing the most important part of him in the World Baseball Classic.
I think the Rivera family scrubbed it. I think it's a conspiracy, Dave.
Probably is. In fact, that probably was written by Mariano Rivera.
Probably, yeah. It seems like it's a secret cabal of my enemies. I can only assume Tom Brady, Mike Trout, and Don Cherry are now getting around a room and say, Rivera, join us. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, we will scrub your history. It's like, what can we scrub this other part? It's like, well, no. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, So Tom over there has been doing all this stuff, but Carlos can still discredit him, even with all the Super Bowls. I keep winning these Super Bowls and he still discredits me. How does he do it? And then one other person in the corner pipes up, because he's Carlos. Shut the fuck up! See?
But I mean, part of it is just a joy for you.
It really, Dave, if nothing else, it should be abundantly clear that I derive so much joy. As Dave jokes to death.
Sorry. But the thing is that it's, trolling people is always more fun the more they get invested in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're just like, if you always said, you're like, yeah, Tom Brady sucks, and they're like, yeah, I agree, that would be the end of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the more they're like, no, Carlos, you don't understand. It's the greatest person in the history of life. He's the best athlete. And you're just like, all right. It's like, knuckles crack. Here we go.
Yeah, pretty much. And that basically it became the running joke on the channel. That's kind of how I built my brand, is like taking on the Trout and Dodger. The problem is I've done such a good job with the Trout and Brady thing that, yeah, they'll bring it up just to set up a segment to have some fun with it. But at this point, they're like, you're making some points, though. Like, some of your points make a lot of sense. It's like, oh no, that's the best part. The best part is that I'm not just making shit up out of left field.
Actually, can I make a segue from this?
Go ahead.
Okay, this is something we didn't plan to talk about, but I'm
Jenny
curious
McCarthy?
about this. No,
Your Undying Love?
Dave Steeb.
Okay, sure.
Okay, because I know your hatred for war,
Yeah.
which I share.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dorktown Dave Steeb documentary,
Yeah, they used it a lot. Yeah.
basically their whole argument is war.
Well, they for Steve, they needed to use. So here's the thing. I still don't like war because it removes context. That's always been my main bone of contention with it. My number one thing. For pitchers, it's weird because with pitchers, there's an element of luck to it, even more than hitters. Because, well, you can pitch like, all the no hitters, all the near no hitters that he had. There were some of them where it's like he actually threw a good pitch. It hit a grounder that probably should have been the third out.
Well,
and
that one that bounced like on the cutout, like twice.
Yeah.
Right? Like unreal.
Yeah, and at that point, it's just bad luck. Like, you really can't account for it. Like, technically speaking, the pitcher did nothing wrong on that play. There was nothing they did incorrectly. They set up basically the batter to do what they would have. If you draw it up and be like, hey, do you want to induce a ground ball for the last out? Yes, that would be ideal. Let's induce the ground ball for the last out. Like, outside of striking the guy out, that's one of the best outcomes.
For sure.
So, like, he got the result he was looking for, but did not get the result he was looking for. So I understand why they did it. To me, it's become a crutch for certain players, obviously. But it's hard to argue that Steve didn't actually contribute to winning games. So maybe this would be the way I present it. I almost feel like war makes more sense for a pitcher because sometimes there are elements literally outside of your control, that prevent you from winning a games. So the win total is more complex. Whereas a hitter, you hit the ball or you don't hit the ball. You get credited for hit, you don't get credited for hit. You drive in a run, you don't drive in a run. It's a lot more black and white.
Right.
As a pitcher, you could pitch well through 7 innings or 8 innings, give it up to the bullpen, and then the closer blows the save and you lose.
Yeah.
Or you get a no decision, sorry. You get a no decision.
Yep.
And what happened? Well, somebody who's not you lost the game, or maybe you left a runner on base. They inherited the runner. Maybe it's a tie game. The guy serves up a home run, a 2-run homer, and you lose the game. You're credited with the loss because it was a tie game and that runner was yours. But you didn't make the pitch that resulted in them scoring the run. Yep. So you did not have control. You relinquished control at that point, but you still get punished for the batter because the other guy threw a meatball down the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not going to completely absolve war in that sense, but I guess for pitchers, I'm a little bit more willing to give it some credence, only because the win-loss record for pitchers is notoriously fickle. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. If you're a batter and you hit...
you think the Veterans Committee will ever put him in?
It's going to require a lot of debate. It's going to require a lot of argument. Because the problem is we've been separated enough from it. If you take a guy who was around in the 80s, the problem is that Steve didn't get enough airtime. You didn't see him. And because he didn't have the World Series accolades, what helped Jack Morris eventually was, oh, remember the 91 World Series? Yeah, we have footage of that. We can see him pitch in the 91 World Series and outduel a young John Smoltz. That was peak Jack Morris at the peak of his powers. Jack Morris was a big game pitcher. He also served up and gave up a ton of runs. That was his deal. High ERA. He found a way to win because he'd just hang in there. He was just a grinder. He would just keep grinding away at it. Steve's peak, his apex, was shorter. That hurt him. But his apex was better, arguably, as the documentary makes the point. So those are the conflicting things. I want to say this. For when it comes to this kind of discussion, there's so much nuance. It's a complicated answer. Normally, I like being able to say definitively yes, no, this, that. Mike Trout sucks. Tom Brady's overrated. Don Cherry blows. These are easy. But the Dave Steve thing is a difficult one just because of the nuances involved.
Yeah. Now, of your trifecta, which really should be a quartet with Ruben Rivera, but all right, who is the most hatred reserved for?
You actually assume I hate one of these people?
Well, in like the
So you're saying what's the
passion.
power rank? What's the power rankings of
yes,
my disdain?
exactly.
The power rankings of my disdain.
Exactly.
Yeah, because hatred's too strong. Hatred
Fair
would
enough.
give a lot more credibility to them. They would Don Cherry, Tom Brady, or Mike Trout would put up a trophy on their wall saying Carlos hates me. They would be a source of pride that they're like, oh man, he knows who I am. He acknowledges me. Like those guys in their lives, they're empty, vapid, worthless lives. All three of them. Moving on. Out of all their awards that they take pride in, they sit there and like, but it means nothing if Carlos will not acknowledge me. And that's all they want in their empty, vapid lives. Awful. Just awful. But if we're going to rank them, I'm going to go Brady first, Cherry second, and let's see, Cherry second, and yeah, probably put Trout third. Just because like Trout's just kind of there. He's kind of bland. He's fun to make fun of because of the war thing. Cherry just really sucks, but I could mute him. And he was really only in coach's corner, which is funny because he was a shitty coach. But Tom Brady is really the kind of just there in your face, and he's still playing because, he's Tom Brady and he has to ruin fun.
Fair enough.
So I think Tom Brady has to be number one.
Well, I would agree. Tom Brady has to be number one, for sure.
Yeah, he has to be. Like, at this point, like, he's still around. And I even gave him a moving tribute. I gave him a moving tribute where I show his greatest moments. Throwing interceptions, being tackled out of his mind, throwing an iPad. Sorry, a Surface tablet. His greatest moments. It was wonderful. You saw the video I did for him. You saw the video I did for him, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, it was moving. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. And now that worthless bastard comes back and ruins the whole thing after I put in so much work, Dave. That disrespect of this man. The disrespect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Indeed. All right, cool. So let me think. So those are the three good ones. So the Dutch owed me shoes. More Trout slander, traditional live stream, love it. And and Don Cherry joins the illustrious list of people that I make fun of when the time is right. So pretty good, pretty solid.
All right,
Shall we Forbidden Door?
Yeah. So what I think we should do for this is I have the card up. So I will go through the card, but before that, and then we can just talk about each match individually as much or as little as we need to.
Go on.
But first of all, I would like to know your overall thoughts on this idea and this pay-per-view as a whole.
So the cross-promotional supercard is a classic trope. AEW has really brought it back into prominence because back in the day, there used to be a lot of like the old NWA used to do some supercards and stuff, and there were some other organizations that used to do. It's a very fun way of mixing it up, giving people their dream, their super matches and stuff. And New Japan still has a ton of talent. So it's one of those things. I like the idea. It's also different. It's a change of pace. AEW has been able to incorporate a lot of their own stuff into it, which is really good. Very smart of them to do. I think there will be, because it's one of those things. It's canon. So this is a situation where it is canon. But at the same time, since it's kind of a special show, it's going to create some weird dynamics. And when we get to a couple of matches, I'll point out exactly where I think it's going to create some weird nuances. But as a precursor, just to say, it is canon, but it's also a little bit weird. It's a special thing on its own that's going to create some weird and interesting dynamics.
Okay. And now on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, I know everything. How familiar are you with New Japan?
Oh no, I know a little bit, but I've only kept vague touch with them. I've kind of tuned in and out, but I can't follow another complete organization that's on the other side of the world. I've seen some of the Wrestle Kingdoms over the years, the last couple of years, when Jericho was doing his little run there, when he was coming back and doing a couple, when he was the Painmaker and he was doing all that. That was fun. I think Moxley had a little thing there as well in Wrestle Kingdom and such. So I kind of would monitor it when some of those guys would go over, but for the most part, I don't pay too close attention to it. I know a little bit about Jay White prior to the AEW thing, not too much, but I know a little bit about him. But it's been interesting, you know.
All right. So let's talk. And I agree with a lot of that. Like, I don't follow it at all,
Yeah.
but somehow I know a bunch of people.
Mhm.
So that's always good when on certain things like I'm familiar with, and then obviously people talking about it as well. But I'm going to order it too. So
Mhm.
there you go. And it should be good. So
Yeah.
let's see. Hopefully, although the injuries in a few places make this not as appealing as in some ways. Anyway, I'm gonna go from up to, like, from the bottom of this list to the down. But here we go.
Yeah.
So the buy-in. You have Max Caster, Billy Gunn, and the Ass Boys, Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn, versus Alex Coughlin, Yuya Uemura, the DKC, and Kevin Knight.
Mhm. I think it'll be a fun match. I don't know any of the people in the second half of that list of names you just gave me. I have no familiarity whatsoever. However, Max Caster and the Ass Boys are entertaining. Billy Gunn is having a ball. He is legitimately like he's trying not to laugh 3/4 of the time. Like he is playing along with Max Caster and Anthony Bowens and their stupid nonsense, and he's literally just rolling with it. He's Billy Gunn. He's like
Well, I
he's
mean,
like
the
55
guys,
years old.
you
He
know
doesn't
what?
give a
He's
crap.
just, you know what? It's nice to see people who are just loving what they're doing. Like, they're just out there having fun and they don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
Billy.
Billy Gunn right now.
Here's
He's
the thing.
like, tell me what you want me to do. I'll go do it and have a good time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Billy Gunn's almost 60 years old. He's shredded for like a 58, 59-year old. Like he's stupid
Absolutely.
shredded. He is literally the biggest guy of that entire group because he's enormous. Like he's a large human being. But that's what's funny about it. But the thing is, at the same time, he doesn't give a shit. It's like there's nothing he can do, good, bad, or indifferent, there that's going to hurt his reputation in any way, shape, or form. His reputation, whatever it is, however much you like him or don't like him, is solidified already. His legacy is with the Road Dogg and the tag team success they had, and his association with DX. So that's intact. He's Billy Gunn, and he gets to go out there, do that thing, have some fun, laugh, and do it with his kids. He's just having fun. Like he's like, whatever, guys. I'll come out here. I'll do this. Yeah. And he's basically like a glorified manager, but he doesn't really interfere with the match or anything. He just kind of enjoys it and just watches it.
Yeah.
He's probably getting a kick of the whole thing.
Involved in the entrance, and that's about it.
Yeah, which is fine. Guess what? He doesn't need to do anything. He just goes out and has some fun. He's probably sitting there laughing. He's having a good time just watching. He goes, kids, you have some fun. Go do it.
For sure. And yes, I also, again, sure, that it'd probably be fun. I don't know who any of the other people are. So, moving on. Next match, also on the buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
El Desperado. I'm just trying to think. I don't think it's the same guy I'm thinking of. El Desperado. Oh, he's Japanese. Okay, gotcha. Okay, never mind. Oh, by the way, here's a little side thing. El Desperado was born the same year we were.
Nice.
Hashtag old. But no, good. A lot of those wrestlers, honestly, are very solid. Repeat the matchup again. Give me the names again.
Oh, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Apparently,
Yeah.
I can't say it without saying Keith Lee first.
Yeah.
And versus El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Got it. Okay, so I think the Lee and Strickland match tag teams thing is going to be interesting, but I think they're going to go solo soon. I'll be curious to see how much longer they hang in there. I don't think they're going to do any kind of breakup angle or anything on this show, although they did tease it earlier. I don't think this would be the time to pull the trigger on that, on like a cross promotional show, but you never know. This could be their impetus for it if they want to do it.
Yeah, something's going to happen on the show, right? And it's going to be interesting because the thing is, I'm curious to see this, not necessarily with the buy-in matches, but the other ones, because every match on the card, I believe, save one, is an interpromotional match.
Yeah.
Right? So it will be interesting to see how many, how often does New Japan win versus, because I don't think you're going to do a cross-promotional thing where one promotion wins every match.
I think it's fair. Yeah.
right?
Something
To
like that.
see which ones is which one is New Japan going to win versus which ones are right. And I think some of that can be done in the buy-in. Like I have no idea because I don't think it's gonna for a buy-in match, right? Like who wins, who loses is not going to hurt you, right? And I
No.
think you're probably right. I doubt they would do a breakup angle on the buy-in.
Yeah, I feel like that's for safe for a TV angle, or a more traditional in canon AEW pay per view. If you want to do it, that makes sense to have it on like the next big show, or even a special, even a TV special, like another not Blood and Guts necessarily, but if you've got another theme show like that and you want to put a little spice on it, that might be a better time to do something like that if you want to throw that out there.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
All right. So now moving into the card, and again, these are in no particular order because
Yep.
I don't know what order they're going to be in.
Sure.
So the Young Bucks, El Phantasmo, and Haku's son versus Sting, Darby Allin, Shingo Takagi, and Hiroma Takahashi. I did not realize in doing this that this is all going to be about, where is Dave's Japanese pronunciation at?
And it's not a good place. It's right in the same place as Don Cherry's sanity, not existing.
You know what? Personally, I'd like to think that I can say, Hiromu Takahashi a little bit better than Don Cherry could.
I think you can speak the English language better than he can after a brain injury.
Anyway, this match to me, I like it. The Young Bucks are going to give you some entertaining. Darby, I worry for Darby Allin because that man has, I think he has a death wish.
He does have a death wish.
Uh,
Here's the thing. I'll say I honestly don't want to spend too much time analyzing this one. I'll be blunt. I think the match is going to be good. I think everybody's going to participate. I think they have a lot of respect for each other. Sting has a ton of respect in the industry. I think they're going to try to find him a good spot to do some interesting stuff. I think they'll have some fun. Hopefully, he doesn't try to do anything crazy, but they've been very controlled about that. They haven't gone too far off the deep end, so I'm happy. Maybe he'll do a splash off something, which will be fun. I think it'll be fine because they've been good about being controlled about that. I think Darby Allin will try to kill himself. That's what he usually does. The Young Bucks will have some crazy spots in there because that's what they do. It'll be a fun match. Your positioning on the card will be critical because this will be a match that'll have a lot of speed at certain parts of it, and then slow down a little bit, and then recapture the speed a little bit again. So you're going to want to be very careful where you place it on the card. You don't want to put too many speed matches, then try to stick this in there, and then try to suddenly slow it down. It's going to be weird. Pick your spots carefully with this one.
Yeah, for sure. In some ways, I feel it does have like popcorn match potential to it as well.
That's what I said. Like, I think it'll be okay as long as they position it on the card correctly.
Yeah.
Where Tony Khan positions this on the card, you can make it better or worse depending on where you place it on the card here.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, next. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki versus Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Shota Umino.
You should have said lay sex gods because come on. Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho, lay sex gods, live. They ride again. They do. That'll be a fun match.
Yes,
Like
Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, okay. Suzuki, not so much.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the lay sex gods is those two. That was their tag team. So, so fair enough. Whatever. And I'm sure Take Auntie will be around.
Of course.
So yeah. So again, a fun matchup. The problem is there's a lot of these cross promotional ones where because I don't know the opponents, I'm going to assume that given
Now,
that
Suzuki has been on several AEW shows, though.
Are you talking about Suzuki-san?
I guess. I don't know. He's like the guy with like he's like bald, but he's like patchy bald.
Oh yeah, the crazy grandpa guy. Yes. Mind you, he is kind of slow at this point, but he's a tough bastard. So it's him. So it's him, Lay Sex Gods, and who's the other one?
Okay, so that's just it on their side.
So the three of them.
This is
that's
the trios match.
Okay, so that's okay. That's okay. And then you got, I think, on the other side, Wheeler Yuta
and Eddie Kingston from AEW, and then Shota Umino.
Okay, that one I don't know anything about.
Suzuki, just for the record, is 54.
Yeah, but he looks like he's 80.
I'm just putting it out there.
No, fair enough. But either way, he's been through wars though. That dude's a tough guy, like a real tough guy.
Sure.
So big respect for him. I think the only issue that I have with a lot of this stuff, I think Sammy Guevara will fly around the ring. That'll be cool. Wheeler Yuta's great, and he's improving steadily as they go along. His association with the Blackpool Combat Club has been really good for him. Because he is learning under the master William Regal. Like he's got William Regal, he's got Bryan Danielson, and he's got Jon Moxley. is kind of like helping him out.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good group of people to learn and but share some notes with and ply the trade. You will learn how to do this properly with those folks helping
Yeah.
you.
I think Les Sex Gods and Suzuki win this match though.
Yeah, I think so because you've also got this one is kind of telegraphed because you've got Blood and Guts coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So like there will be the opportunity for the revenge on Wednesday, and that's the bigger match. The Blood and Guts is going to be the bigger match of the two. So yeah, I can see them getting the win here through nefarious, shady means in order to facilitate Wednesday and make it a bigger thing with the cage and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Next match. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Cesaro.
Allegedly. If they get Cesaro, that would be awesome. That is the likely. Obviously, that's the leader in the clubhouse of theories. Zack Sabre Jr. is great. Now that is going to be a more technical match. If it is that,
it's such a shame that Bryan Daniels is injured for this match.
It is. But it's not a bad way to bring in Cesaro though if you do.
No,
so
true.
if that's what you're going to do, it gives you a legitimate excuse to bring him in because Bryan Danielson then set it up, right? He made it a mystery, but at the same time, he gave qualifiers, which as a guy in this position, it makes sense. By the way, quick side point: when the last match happened, where the Blackpool Combat Club was on the same side as Eddie Kingston against Chris Jericho and those guys, Bryan Danielson was the guy who was like, look, I'll participate in this, but I don't really like Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston cost him that match with the thing with the gasoline canister.
Right.
And Eddie Kingston, on every interview he's done in creation, hates Cesaro. So that'd be a really fun little way to put a Bryan Danielson dig at Eddie Kingston, because then they come into the Blood and Guts thing and they're going to be on the same side as Eddie Kingston. So by the way, you cost us this match. I don't really actually like you, but you know what? My replacement, you also hate his guts, and he also doesn't like you.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that little seed in there. Just bear that in mind. If that's what it is, it'll add a little spice to the Eddie Kingston indirect Cesaro association that neither one of them asked for.
Yeah. I think it probably is, because I originally, like, when he was first talking, I'm like, oh, is this going to be Bray Wyatt? Right? Mm-hmm. But the more he talks about it, I'm like, no, it's not. I don't think it is.
Bray Wyatt's not a technical guy.
No, exactly.
He's a character guy. He's really good at building characters, but he's not a technical wrestler.
Exactly.
Claudio, because it'll most likely be Claudio by that naming.
Although didn't he trademark or attempt to trademark CSRO?
Maybe, but I don't think he's going to be able to use it. Maybe he will, but I genuinely don't know. But I'll say this. If it is him, he is a great technical wrestler. He is a powerhouse. Like, pound for pound, he's a super strong guy. He can do some very impressive things in the ring. He'd be an asset. It's going to be interesting to see where he fits into the whole overall grand scheme of things. We'll have to see. But I'd be compelled. Like I said, there is a built-in story with him and Eddie Kingston not liking each other. So like there's an immediate built-in thing. Like without us having to do anything, you can just point it out and immediately, boom, we have a little built-in mini story with that.
Yeah.
So it'd be an opportunity if you want to take advantage of it. I'd at least consider it.
Next one, and which I think might be the match I am least looking forward to, although that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad match.
Okay.
Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. Also, I really didn't like the fact, like I enjoyed the like FTR and Trent Beretta versus Ospreay and United Empire thing that went on. It's been going on the last few weeks.
Okay.
I've enjoyed that, but I did not like seeing Ospreay in the same match, even though it was a trios match with Orange Cassidy on Wednesday. I would have liked to see them for the first time at this match.
I can see the argument. I don't think it's going to make a difference.
I can see the argument. I'm just saying it personally. Mm-hmm. But having seen Ospreay, several times, and he's probably for me the most well-known person on New Japan, like who the person I was most familiar with.
Yep.
I feel they could have done better with an opponent for him.
Well,
not to say that I don't dislike Orange Cassidy. Mm-hmm. I think for what he does, he's great at what he does. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's also less is more. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. The thing though is that Orange Cassidy doesn't wrestle most of the time. Like there isn't much less. Less is
Well, for
cut
a
him.
while, I mean, true, but initially, for a while, he was like on there all the time,
Yeah,
and
but
he
but
beat
but it hasn't
beat
been in a
everybody.
while. They've scaled him back quite a bit.
That is true.
So
That
it's
is
one of
true.
those things. Now here's what's going to be interesting. I agree with you for part of the concept, but I think what's going to happen, my opinion, I know the wrestler is actually, the Orange Cassidy wrestler is actually very good. He is one of the few guys that can keep up with Osprey in terms of speed. So it's one of those things where he just hits on the afterburners and they just decide to go for a burner of a match, and that's the decision they make. Orange Cassidy can keep up. So
Right.
it's one of those things where they could just hit high octane, shock everybody. I don't know, like they're gonna have to be careful with it. But I could see if Osprey did something like I'm just kind of booking the way I would book this.
Right.
I would have Osprey like slap the taste out of his mouth to the point that he gets fired up, and it gives Orange Cassidy a reason to quote unquote try. And then all of a sudden you got two guys who can go at full speed, and then boom, just hit the accelerator. It doesn't have to be a long match, but if they both hit the accelerator at the same time and they
Yeah.
go,
Fair enough.
the audience will be like, they'll just be like, "What the hell is going on?" And they could surprise some people, and it could be the sleeper. So, to your point, it could be one that'll just be weird because of the dynamics of characters, or it could be a sleeper if they suddenly turn on the afterburners and go, "We're going to go for a full out burner here. We're
Yeah.
just going to go for 10 minutes, but you guys are never going to see this kind of speed outside of maybe like a Pac and a few other handful of other guys who have that kind of speed."
Yeah.
But these are two of the guys that have that kind of speed and elusiveness and weird moves, and you're not going to see it from anybody else. This combination is going to be different.
Hmm.
So we'll see if they want to go that route. Though it could be kind of fun. It could be kind of that was right up there with match of the night by accident, and we didn't expect it.
Yeah. All right. Next one, which I'm looking forward to. I feel in some ways this could be a disaster,
Mhm.
or it could be amazing. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. The winner take all Ring of Honor and IWGP Tag Team Champions. FTR versus Jeff Cobb and Great O'Khan
Mhm.
versus Roppongi Vice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously one tag team is going to lose their belts,
hmm
and one tag team potentially could be gain another one, or if it's Roppongi Vice, gain two.
Yeah.
I think FTR wins this match.
I think so. So this is the first one where I will propose that we'll have to see. It depends on what they want to do in terms of canon. It depends on what they want to do in terms of characters. The best friends are right now kind of all floating in space. Orange Cassidy's got his thing going on in the show. Roppongi Vice has got its thing going on in the show. But I don't know how they're going to decide to play around with this. I actually really like Trent in the ring, but he's one of those guys where if you're not going to set him up to win like a tag team championship, and I don't think this is going to happen on this show,
Yeah.
I'd almost like to see what would happen with the Trent Beretta if they decided to roll with him. I don't think they would, but if it was me, I would at least consider the possibility of turning him heel here. Maybe they lose the match, and he turns on his partner from Roppongi Vice and just walks away from the best friends, and they go do their own thing for a while. Because Orange Cassidy can exist as his own entity, and
Yep. Absolutely.
yeah, he can exist as his own entity. Trent could do his own thing, and what's his name? The other guy, the Kentucky gentleman.
I don't know who. I always forget.
Yeah, but regardless, he's actually good in the ring. But you could pair him up with somebody else for a while. Like, and by the way, you can reunite them later. I'm not saying forever, but I'm saying he could have a run where he does his own thing because
Rocky Romero.
no, Rocky Ramirez with Roppongi Vice, but I mean his
Oh.
other tag team and best friends.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the name escapes me. Is it Chuck? Hold on, it's Chuck something.
Chuck Taylor.
Chuck Taylor, thank you. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, so Chuck Taylor, I don't know what he's doing right now, but it's one of those things. Chuck Taylor would be kind of the odd man out with it, but at the same time, I think you could probably pair him up with somebody else for now, just to do a thing. Again, it doesn't have to be forever. I just feel like right now the best friends thing, unless you've got something for them to do, they're just kind of hanging around,
Yeah.
and it's kind of tricky. Like play around with it. Like right now, Trent, you could probably do a couple things with it if you wanted to. I'd love to see a couple more guys that are eligible that are right in that TNT championship mix. That'd be kind of fun. Or even with that additional belt, you're going to need some additional opponents, right? You can have a couple more singles guys. You still got plenty of tag teams, so don't even worry about that. You've got plenty of tag teams. But having a couple of guys available for that All Atlantic Championship wouldn't be a terrible idea. Since it's a new division, right? You could
Yeah.
have a guy like a Trent go after maybe that, at least be in contention for it. Chuck Taylor can compete for the TNT, and they could do some stuff. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I don't expect anything, but it wouldn't be a terrible time if you wanted to try something different.
Yep,
So
I agree,
that'd be
100%.
my pitch for that one. Go on.
All right, next up, which I don't know if I like this. I mean, I guess I'm going to reserve whether I like this concept until the match happens, because this is the All Atlantic Championship match,
Yeah.
which is a 4-way, which has been a tournament, and I guess still is technically a tournament, but instead of doing semifinals and then a final, they just combine that all into one. So you have Miro versus Pac versus Malachi Black versus Tomohiro Ishii.
I think Ishii's out. I could be mistaken because I thought Ishii was injured. I'll
Oh,
double
that's
check.
possible. I don't know. This is what Bleacher Report has up.
Yeah, yeah. Keep going while you're going with it. I'll double check.
Okay. I think this is going to be. I don't know. I like the match because I like the people in it, but I don't know if I like that being the way this championship is decided. But I also feel this is Miro. I don't see this going any other way than Miro winning it. Although now that Carlos has told us the shoe story, it is possible that based solely on that Malachi Black wins this match.
It is possible. It is possible. Just saying.
But I don't see this going to Ishii or whoever. If I'm wrong, and this is outdated, I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be going to one of the AEW people, especially since they announced it, as an AEW championship, and on the AEW show. Like I don't know why you would create a belt and then put it on someone who's not in your promotion to start.
Yep. So
Right.
the answer is Ishii is out, and they replace him with another guy from New Japan named Clark Connors.
Okay.
So.
Woo.
No, I have no familiarity with him, so it's one of those.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it could be great.
Yeah, I think if they specifically chose him as the replacement, Tony Khan does a lot better scouting of New Japan than I do. So I have no doubt that he's got at least some credibility and some credentials in there, because from what I can see, he's a gaijin. So if you're bringing in a white guy from New Japan, he probably can do something. Otherwise, you would have just picked one of the other New Japan guys. So
I also feel there may be more white guys from New Japan on this card than Japanese guys.
Well, the thing is, like, New Japan over the years has become a lot more open to it. By the way, to their benefit, it's made their product better. It's also allowed them to. It's not obvious because in the old days you used to bring in these guys from North America to be like the monster heels, but then in the end they'd lose to the Japanese talent. But having these other folks come over who can win titles and do things means that it feels more like it's competitive. And then if you win, then you earned it. And it allows you to build a story. That's where Kenny Omega winning a championship works. That's where Jay White winning a championship works. Having, Roppongi Vice has been champions in Japan. So, like, having that possibility means it's not a foregone conclusion when these guys compete for titles that, they're going to lose. Chris Jericho won the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. It is better for the product if it's possible for these guys to win so that, I can't just assume the Japanese guy's going to win.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's better for everybody. So we'll see. I don't know if they see him as some kind of talent, then this could be a showcase match for him. It's an opportunity knock situation. Mm-hmm. Because Ishii's a name, so it's not like you're just replacing any generic dude.
Yeah, but I think that with that switch, it means I think it's even less likely that it goes to the Japanese wrestler.
I think so. I think it's
from New Japan.
I'm fairly confident. Yeah, I feel like this is Miro's championship to win, and I think it's his. And then we'll see what he wants to do with it because he's already had 2 runs with the TNT Championship. I think 2 runs.
Yeah.
No.
So this could be, but it could be a real banger of a match.
Yeah. So it'll be just another piece of gold for Miro. I listened to an interview that he did on Fightful, where he talked about it just before this pay-per-view is coming up here. So he did chat about it a little bit. He's speaking half in character, half outside of character, the usual kind of way you have to play it. But I think he's excited at the prospects ahead of him. He's interested in a lot of what the possibilities are for him creatively and such. Sean Ross Sapp did say it correctly. He goes, after you're done feuding with God, you're going to do this. He goes, you're going to start talking to God again. He goes, he talks to me every day. And he goes, has he told you to kind of quit it with the thing? He goes, am I still talking? He goes, yep. So at least they're playing into it and they're having some fun with it. So that's good. I do feel this is Miro's championship to win. And he could certainly build up the title. He could certainly build up the title and make it interesting. I still don't know what purpose it serves as another title. But look, if he has a good dominant run with it and has some good opponents and they do some good stuff with it, I'm fine with it. And I still think you can do one of them on Rampage and one of them on Dynamite, and it'd be fine.
Yep, Agreed.
So it can be done. Like, make Rampage Miro's show and have him defend the championship consistently on Rampage. Fine.
Yeah.
We get a Miro match every week. Awesome.
I would be okay with that, at least for a while.
Yeah, that's what I say. Give him a chance. Or do it every other week, whatever. Make that the place where he hangs out, does some promos, and then does matches.
Yeah. Okay. Next, we have the only promotional match
Yeah, the
for
ladies
the
match.
AEW Women's Championship. Yep. The worst booked champion they've ever had, Thunder Rosa. Even though I quite like Thunder Rosa, I just think she's been booked horribly.
Yeah.
Versus Toni Storm.
Yeah. So this is the second one where I think it would benefit everybody if you actually did the thing. And the thing to me is obvious. The saving grace, I think I mentioned to you already. The way you salvage this is you turn Thunder Rosa heel. You have her win through nefarious means. That extends this feud. It gets you forward to another match. You can build up to another match. So, but it gives you an excuse. It gives you an impetus. We didn't have anything coming into this. We just had a match. But now, Thunder Rosa retains the title by nefarious means. Denounces the company and the crowd for not showing her the same respect as the previous champions. Blah blah blah. Whatever. The point is, now I'm going to keep this title at all costs. Screw the lot of you. Enter Toni Storm. I'm taking that belt from you. Blah, blah, blah. And now we'll set it up so that we can, fight the next couple of weeks. She tries to avoid it. She eventually gets goaded into it or forced into defending the title at a big show. You can do a big special or you can do the next pay-per-view. I don't care. But just set it up so that you already know where that next title defense is going to be. And you build to the title defense so that next time we have a build leading into it. And now it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the only way you can salvage it, Carlos.
Yeah. This is your shot. Like, right now is your opportunity to get... You can save the last piece of Thunder Rosa's title reign here. Because I think if you do this, what I suggest, then Toni Storm's winning the title. But you can salvage it so that we can fix a lot of the wrongs that we had up until this point. So we can still have one good feud concluding here. Yeah. And I think that's the play right now. Because as soon as you put Toni Storm in this position, you kind of have to put her in this spot and just give her the damn belt then. And I still love to see Statlander down the road. I still feel like Statlander's another future champion waiting in the wings on this one.
Now, granted, saying what you said, which I agree with, do you think that is what is going to happen?
I really don't know. I genuinely have no idea. Like I said before, Tony Khan's not stupid, but he is a little bit of a mark. We talked about this. Like, sometimes he gets fixated on an idea and he just sticks with it. And like, whatever that idea is, I don't know what the idea is. I don't know how he sees Thunder Rosa. For me, it's the best of both worlds. We can salvage Thunder Rosa, make her character more interesting, give her some new life. She can be frustrated. Losing to Toni Storm after we build it up towards that can be a source of more frustration for her. It can be a thing. You know what you could have some fun with if you really wanted to? You could have some fun with this. You could have a moment, she's so infuriated, so angry, that at the same time you're doing this is me fantasy booking, so I'm saving y'all. So at the same time this is happening, at some point what we're going to have a situation where Britt Baker is probably going to disband with Jamie Hayter. Mm-hmm. But you figure it out. If you do it right, you could have a thing where Jamie Hayter is a face coming out of it. What if you end up in a situation where you create strange bedfellows out of a weird situation, and there's so much anger and things built up to the point that somehow Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker end up joining forces as two heels who are pissed off? Yeah. That would be funny. And that'd be kind of fun. And you could even have tag team matches with champion Toni Storm, Jamie Hayter against Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa.
Yep.
That'd be a fun match. We could have that. We could have a little bit of a feud going on with it. And then all of a sudden you got a couple of mix and match combinations. Britt Baker can take a shot at Toni Storm. Thunder Rosa can try to get another shot at Toni Storm. You can have Jamie Hayter around doing something. Maybe that's your opportunity to start shifting towards a TBS championship run. The point is, all of a sudden you create this little mini faction warfare in between, just to have some fun and kill some time. And give everybody something to do for a little while. All of a sudden I gave you 4 people who suddenly have something to do.
Yeah, because they're not, let's be real. They're not really doing a heck of a lot with their women's division.
Yeah. But right there,
they have one women's match each show, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right, and I've given you, including the buy-in matches, there are 11 matches on this card. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
One of which is a women's match.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they couldn't find a way to shoehorn Jade Cargill in there.
Now, is it? Because I don't know this. I should, but I don't. Does New Japan have a women's division?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to try to do some kind of crossover, you would have had to reach out for like Stardom, because Stardom is the Japanese promotion. Stardom, by the way, would have been an easy if you could have found a way to incorporate Stardom. You could have had a lot of matches because both Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter did a lot of business at Stardom. I think even Britt Baker did as well. I think she even did a little run in Stardom as well, like a little thing in between in her travels. So a lot of these women would actually have some history with some of the women in Stardom. So you could have actually been like, actually, these have had a match here and here and here and blah 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 blah, as it turns out, because there is some history with a bunch of them, and it's like it would actually make sense. I could actually pull up tape for you, and we could show, hey, here are them competing in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because they didn't set that up, it's not there right now. But yeah, that's why I proposed it the way that I said. I said by doing one thing, by doing a Thunder Rosa heel turn, if we position this correctly, set it up, the thing that I said with the Britt Baker and the other one can be happening at the same time on the side, but you see it. So this is happening over here, but then the Tony Storm Thunder Rosa thing's happening over here. At least the Thunder Rosa loss here, the frustration of that and this frustration of this happening over here eventually somehow leads into these two who had feuded and had battles and deciding to join forces as double evil.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, could then work because Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter have also been rivals who now suddenly find themselves defending against these other two. And by the way, they all have history. I didn't have to make it up. It's all there. It's all in front of you. It's a lot easier to book because it's like, oh, okay, that actually kind of makes sense. I can see that. Yeah, okay. It writes itself, Dave. It writes itself.
Indeed it does, Carlos. This is why AEW should hire you, but I've said that before. And I probably will say it again.
All right, next.
All right, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
This will be fun.
Again, a four-way. Jay White, who is the current champion, versus Hangman Adam Page, versus Adam Cole, versus Okada. If you prefer Kazuchika Okada.
To the death.
I don't know. I kind of think I like it. First of all, I think it'll be good. I think this is one where 100% the New Japan version is going to win.
Yeah, Jay White retains the title.
There's, but I feel like, yeah, okay. We got some good stuff here. This should be enjoyable, and yeah, I believe Jay White walks out the champion as he currently is, or retains.
Yeah, he should.
Still.
Yeah, he should. The thing coming out of this, there's two things to keep an eye out for. Number one, does Okada hit the Rainmaker? I say yes. I think he pulls off the Rainmaker at one point, but somehow the pin gets interrupted. I think he pulls off the Rainmaker, but I think there'll also be a couple of false alarms where he almost hits the Rainmaker and something prevents it, and then he does end up hitting it once. He hits the Rainmaker once for what it looks like is going to be the end of the match, and then somebody else hits their finisher, gets him out of the way, and then takes it. Probably Jay White. Yeah. So that's one thing I would keep an eye out for. Second thing I would keep an eye out for is the interaction between Jay White and Adam Cole. Does this sow the seed for dissension for down the road? Do you set it up with something because Jay White retains, but Adam Cole was about to betray him? Because they already teased this with the belt shot that he was going to take, and he was holding and looking at him. He goes, like, which person are you actually trying to hit? You already laid the groundwork. So that's the second thing to keep an eye on in identifying this match. So these are two things for you to keep an eye on for this match. Otherwise, the match should be fun.
I agreed.
Yep.
All right, and then finally, which I imagine will be the main event, the interim AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley versus Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yes, Jon Moxley. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be, again, should be a good match. I wish CM Punk was there. I'd rather have that match, but I don't know. Nope. I still don't know how I fully feel about Jon Moxley. I don't know if I like him or not.
Well, I think that's the point of his character. it's kind of on that borderline. Here's what I'll say. I think if it's going to be interim and they have to have it defend for a couple of months or a month or two, he's actually an excellent choice for an interim champion to fill in that gap because he has the requisite level of kind of toughness that you need, and he can be the champion. And by the way, he can talk on the microphone. He can do what he needs to do. He's fine. And he's in the game right now. And then you can have promos with the Blackpool Combat Club, who, by the way, I enjoy. You could have William Regal there be kind of an advisor / manager of the AEW champion in the meantime. So that'd be kind of fun. You could set up some matches. I would take advantage then, though, if you do Mox. I would take advantage, and I would have him defend the title a little bit more than normal for a champion in the intro. Get him into some title matches a little bit more regularly. just to kind of get the belt out there, and let's put it up for grabs a couple of times on TV. Give
Yeah.
some people some competitive matches. Let's give them a shot. You're not going to make that the norm, but right now you've got an interim title. Put it out there. Put a couple of title matches on TV and give people, all right, titles on the line. We're doing it. And that's the main event. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
Because you could give a couple different guys a shot. I wouldn't Malachi Black and John Moxley for the AEW Championship on a main event of a Dynamite sound good? That'd be fun.
Absolutely.
I think people would enjoy it. You could do a couple different let people have a couple of stabs at it. You could have a couple of guys who maybe aren't quite ready and make it kind of interesting for them. Look, what if you do a random thing where you just decide, all right, guys, you know what? We're gonna pick. We've got a list of guys. We're gonna pick one of them. Moxley, you're taking on Wardlow for the championship. Wardlow fights him, and then they hang in there. They have a great match. Moxley gets him just at the end on guile alone, just because he's a veteran and he knows everything and he knows all the tricks. But Wardlow gets that close to taking the title, and people are like, oh my God, he's actually going to win the title. You let him feel like it's going to happen. And then Moxley's still a savvy veteran. He knows how to get out of the situation and win. He still finds a way to win, hangs on to the title, but Wardlow got that close, planting the seeds for the future.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Sure.
You could have a great match. Those guys could have a great match, and it'd be fun.
I agree.
And then we finally get Manifest Destiny, Dave. Finally, our destiny's fulfilled. And after that moment where Wardlow nearly ascends, at last he is awarded his God-given right. He becomes our first ever Hoss Fight champion.
In accordance with the prophecy.
In accordance with prophecy, as we finally get the Hoss Fight division we all want.
And if by we mean the two of us. But,
Listen, I would merge the Hoss Fight championship with the All Atlantic.
Let's do it. I would rather have a Hoss Fight championship belt than I would the All Atlantic.
Yeah, which would make Miro being the All Atlantic champion even better. We can have a unification match. Hoss Fight! Hoss Fight!
Do it. Are you sad that Wardlow's not on this card?
No. For right now, the way they've got this card, there's nothing that makes sense for him. You'd literally have to shoehorn something in there. It'd be like, do we have a large Japanese man somewhere? Well, yeah, we got a couple. All right, Wardlow, you and large guy. It's like, we don't even have the Hoss Fight Championship yet. True.
This is the Hoss Fight Championship.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, right? Any chance MJF shows up at this pay-per-view?
I hope zero. There's a better chance of me finally giving Tom Brady praise.
Wow.
Much higher.
Wow.
Way higher.
That's saying something, Carlos. That is saying something.
Yeah, there's nowhere where he fits. Even if you want to do a storyline thing, there's nowhere where he fits. He'd just be like a random and it would take the attention away because this is a super show. That's why I was very picky about the spots where I said this could be a spot where you could do something. Like honestly, I'm not even joking. The Thunder Rosa heel turn to me is a spot that actually makes sense because it doesn't end the story. It actually is the impetus for a new story coming out of the pay-per-view, which suddenly gives them a reason for being in each other's gravitational pull going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So it actually makes more sense for it to happen in this as the setup to the next match, because all of a sudden you need a second match. It makes sense to have a second match. You can actually do that with reason, as opposed to just being like, all right, you're the number 2, number 1 contender, number 3 contender, whatever. Here's a match.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Tony Storm would have a legitimate grievance, a real beef that she could be like, hey, what the heck? This was my championship opportunity. You screwed me over on this. What the hell? And then roll with that. Yeah, but there aren't too many spots where it makes sense. A lot of these are kind of like, it's going to be a good match in isolation, but it's a throwaway long term. Long term, the outcome doesn't matter. This one could have some ramifications long term because they're both in the AEW universe, and they could have consequences going forward. So take advantage of that. Since we've got these two here, do something with them that leads to the next thing, so we can then by the time we get to Blood and Guts, we can start having a discussion of what happens with these two.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that'd be good.
I
win
agree.
for everybody.
All right. Anything else you want to add to our discussion about Forbidden Door Crows?
Hoss Fight! That's all I want. That's all I ask for, Dave. I don't feel like I asked for much. I just want my Hoss Fight championship.
What if they put Hoss Fight? They took the division, but they created it, and they said, but the inaugural match for the championship will take place on Fight Island.
Dude, you're like trying to break the internet right now. You are literally like you are combining all the memes. All the memes. Dear Lord.
Hey, man. I'm just saying.
It's like Fight Island was classic. Ah, single tier. The classic days of Fight Island. Ah, memories. Moving on. Yes. Anyway, I think that's it for Forbidden Door. I'm gonna have fun. Like I said, it's a weird kind of middle show, but I think the matches are gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it as an overall show. As a presentation, I'm looking forward to it. But it is gonna be weird. It's gonna be very strange in the sense that like I said, a lot of these matches really aren't gonna have immediate consequences by the next show. So it's kind of like I said, it's a weird standalone show that's like I said, still gonna be fun in its own way.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. And outside of that, yeah, I got that, and then I got some World Series of Poker. I'm gonna see if Phil Ivey wins an 11th bracelet. Let's go! I'm back on watching some live poker, so that's fun for me.
Good stuff.
Yes, indeed. All right. Anything else we want to touch on then?
No, man. I think that was a good conversation.
There we go. So that is episode 136, Forbidden Door preview, and Carlos story time. And my feud with Don Cherry continues. Just saying.
Indeed.
Yep. The good news is my plan is to just outweight him.
Which is pretty much a given you will win.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. It's like, what happened? I was like, I won. How? Default?
How old is Don Cherry right now? He's like, what,
88.
88.
89. Yep. I got you, Don. You're mine! Because you know who I got on my side? Time. True story. The feud to continue. Alas, a feud that's better booked, even though nobody planned it. A better feud booked than the AEW Women's Championship. Dang.
Ooh, but so true.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so that's it for us. Future episodes coming up on YouTube, so you can check it out there. Otherwise, iTunes, Spotify, when I remember to put up the audio version. Indeed. Hashtag sponsors. And that'll be it for us. We'll catch you in the next one.